When I need answers about anything to do with personal growth, I go straight to my mom and my aunt. Here they are, Priscilla Babin and Tina Gilliatt with the sister sauce.
Hi, everybody. I am Tina Gilliatt, and this is the Sister Sauce. I'm here with my gorgeous sister, Priscilla Babin, and my most talented sister's offspring. Well, that's not true. You're not the most talented out of all the offspring, but you are a talented offspring. Clover Babin, who is our announcer slash field reporter slash commentator, all things sweet and sour. And we're looking forward to hearing from Clover today.
Yes, all my children are equally talented.
Yes, we don't play favorites in the Wellmeyer slash Babin slash Gilliatt households.
Yeah.
We're equal opportunity spoilers. We spoil all our children alike.
That is true. That is true. Early happy Valentine's, everybody, and happy Mother's
Day. Yeah. So I know we're going to talk about that later, but at first, when we were prepping for today, I thought maybe we should look up and find out what the origin of Valentine's Day is. And I got to tell you, there are so many different stories about it, but all I can know for sure from reading different ones is that it all started in the 14th century. And then by the 15th century, people were actually acknowledging it. And then it was like the 17th century when people actually started buying Valentine's cards that were marketed and pre-printed and all that good stuff.
That's still kind of early.
Huh?
It's still a long time ago.
It is a very long time ago. But I am sure we've gotten better with gift giving since then.
I hope so.
Maybe like, here for Valentine's Day, I got you this cake, but if you get the baby, we have to sacrifice you.
Oh,
remember that from last week?
Yes.
We talked about king cake. Oh my goodness. Okay. Clover wasn't here for that, but we don't want to have to sacrifice anybody.
No.
What's on your mind though? Do you have something hot in the way of hot sauce to share?
Hot sauce. My hot sauce this week is Selena Gomez, believe it or not. I like Selena Gomez.
He is hot.
She? Did you say he or she?
I said she is hot.
Oh, okay, sounded like you said he. She's beautiful. And she is on Only Murders in the Building, which is a show I enjoy. If you watch the whole favorite TV shows episode, you know, I think I mentioned it on there. I hope I did, because it's a real good show. And I've enjoyed watching her on that show. And my kids, of course, watched Wizards of Waverly Place when they were little and she was young. And so I've always liked her as an actress, and I enjoy some of her music. And but this poor girl is always in the tabloids, right? Always in all the news. She's always trending or whatever, and somebody's always got something to say about her, commenting on her figure or her past relationship with Justin Bieber, which is so unfair because it's been so long. And it's just like, leave the poor girl alone. And I feel bad for her, but I never really, you know, knew that much about her personally. And you hear, you know, they're always trying to pit her against Hailey Bieber.
And just they're like friends.
Yeah, just out of spite. And they claim, you know, there's always these claims of her being, you know, shading people or being rude or different stuff. And it's like, you don't know what to think about people because you don't really know them. Well, I was looking for something to watch. I was relaxing on the couch with my coffee the other day and didn't want to commit to doing anything yet. I wanted to allow myself some leisure time, and I was looking for something to put on. And while I was just resting and in between my stints of painting trim around my house, and found her, I guess it's a biopic. I want to call it a biopic, but I don't know if she would call it a biopic. But and now I'm trying to think of the name of it. I had it written down, but I can't remember what it's called now. Probably look that up for me. But in it talks about her struggles with mental health and lupus, and it's kind of a documentary. They followed her around for quite a while. Oh, it's My Mind and Me, and it's from 2 years ago, but it's online. It's on the streaming services, and so you can find it if you have, some of those things. I forget which one I watched it on, but just search it up on your in your searches. But it was really heartbreaking because you see her behind the scenes struggling with her anxiety, which it's on Apple. That's why I watched it. It's on Apple TV. I'm trying to make the most of my Apple subscription. And they're not promoting us or anything. We don't get any kickbacks from Apple, but it happens to be on Apple. But you can see her it kind of starts at one point and then they go back in time and then they come back to the present. But you can see her struggling, and they talk about when she had gone to get, treatments for lupus and getting her kidney transplant and everything. And her lupus went into remission, but it's still, you still have it when you have
Right.
lupus, and it affects her anxiety a lot. And so she was having a ton of anxiety. And at one point she got really depressed and ended up going into like a rehab situation because she was suicidal. And she talks very openly and candidly on the video about her feelings, and she's very remorseful because when she was full of anxiety and depression, she was avoiding her parents, and she was snapping at people a little bit. And when I say snapping at people a little bit, it was just a little bit. It wasn't like you see her on the video being kind of a little ugly to the people around her, but you can tell it's not because she's doing it to them. It's out of her anxiety and everything, and she's just completely overwhelmed. And it actually reminded me of Ted Lasso, because when you're watching, if you ever see Ted Lasso, and me and Tina have seen it multiple times, so we have it memorized, but they show him going through panic attacks and anxiety, and he kind of lashes out or gets a little out of his own personality, when he's struggling. And you can see, the press is all crowding in, and it was the same with her. She would be overwhelmed by having to go do all these promotional interviews and stuff when she had an album or a concert tour coming out. And they would ask her really dumb questions that were not meaningful, and it felt insulting to her. Plus, she was so exhausted because she'd do them back to back to back, and they'd get her up before dawn to do her glam and get her all dressed up. And she hated her outfits, and she just felt like a circus clown, basically. And she was made to feel that way when she was a kid and was on Wizards of Waverly Place and working for Disney, because they wring these kids out like wet rags, of their talent. And so she at one point even said, after she had finished one interview where she just felt really stupid and insulted and disrespected, and she was like, this feels like Disney. I don't like this. It feels like Disney. And I love lots of Disney things, but they really do drain the life out of the people they contract. But to me, it was a very revealing portrait of all she's been through and how good her heart is. She has a passion for philanthropy, and she tries really hard, and she has, but you can see the human struggle. And I think that was what spoke to me the most, is you can see she's just a person. Yes, she's a talented person. Yes, she's a famous person. Yes, she has some money, but she goes through the same things that everybody goes through.
Yeah.
And so I felt like that was very meaningful, and I was touched by it. And it makes me like her all the much more, to see her being open about all that she's been through and dealt with, and seeing her humanity. So if y'all have Apple TV, go check it out.
Yeah.
My Mind in Me. Is that right?
I need to watch it.
Apple
So
TV, Selena Gomez.
a few weeks ago, one of the award shows that was on, I don't remember which one it was. It might have been People's Choice or Emmys or something like that. It was the one that everybody was trying to read the lips of all the people. And supposedly this lip reading woman was reading the lips of John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. And John supposedly said, I want a divorce. And Emily said, really? And John said, yep, you bet, or something. Later on, people said that they could hear the audio in the video enough to discern what he was saying. And he really said, I can't wait for the hors d'oeuvres or something.
No, they said that he said, I can't wait to get divorced. And he was saying, I can't wait to get indoors because
indoors.
It was cold.
That's right. It was something very.
I was,
and
it was me who was joking. He was saying he wanted horse divorce.
Oh. Well, so I mean, they were ones, but then people were also looking at Selena Gomez because she had apparently gone over to tell Taylor Swift hi, and she whispered something to Taylor Swift, and then Taylor went like that, like, oh no, with this open mouth expression. And so people were like, did she say that so-and-so was sleeping with so-and-so? And there was all this speculation and talk about her and Taylor Swift in their conversation. And of course, I've been a real advocate for Taylor Swift because I'm not even a Swiftie. I've always admired her. She does a lot for people and for her fans and everything and for charity. And I'm like, why? Because she has a love interest that is a football player. People expect her to not go see her love interest play football because, God forbid, she should distract from the game and be Taylor Swift. She can't help that people are so fanatical. And I just get so mad at all the haters for saying, and somebody wrote the other day that that the NFL needs to thank Taylor Swift because people were so turned off by the NFL for a while because of all the foolishness and politics, and that people are finally grateful that there's some fun left in the NFL. And I'm not saying some of the politics wasn't good politics or stuff that I wouldn't support, but some of it anyway. But it's just frustrating that you're going to lash out at somebody. When we were kids and we would get bullied, Mom would always say, they're just jealous. And I always thought that was poppycock because I'm like, why would they be jealous of me? I'm a nerdy kid. I'm not pretty. I'm not this or that. But as an adult, I look at what they're doing to Selena Gomez and what they're doing to Taylor Swift and other people. And I think they're just jealous. They can't stand the fact that she's so successful. But she's worked her tail off to be that successful. And let me just say this too. This is kind of a hot sauce from Tina added on to your hot sauce. Do you ever see them do this to men?
Nope.
No, it's the young women. Let's attack these young women.
And that's why so many young women who aren't famous get complexes. Because they're so worried about what other people think, because that's all they read about is what other people think.
Yep. Dadgummit. This goes to a marinade that I'm saving for later, not today. This makes me mad. Wow.
We're gonna get Clover all hot and sweet and sour.
Yeah. So I'm on board with your hot sauce for today. And I'm going to go watch that Selena Gomez special.
Yeah, check that
out. Definitely. Well, we have Apple TV, so that's a good thing. So we are talking about Valentine's today, but more specifically, ways to say, I love you. And that's not in the literal sense, but it can be in the literal sense. Different
ways. A little of that too.
But ways to just demonstrate your love, not just with your partner, but also with people you love. You should be celebrating. We gave Livia we had some extra cash we came into, not a lot, but a little. And we gave Livia a few dollars, and AJ said, "That's your Mardi Gras present." And I'm like, "Oh God, you should have said Valentine's," because she would have more expected a Valentine's present than a Mardi Gras
Well, if it was a
present.
Mardi Gras present, y'all should have threw it at her.
You know, catch. But yeah. So you can give Valentine's gifts or share love with everybody, everybody you care about.
Yeah. Well, we found a lot of articles when we were searching for ideas, and we came across a whole bunch of different stuff, and we might share some of the other ones in our
have them in the
in our
show notes.
And there was even one about how to be thrifty. Some of the like couponing sites have ideas to how to be thrifty for Valentine's Day. And of course, there's always deal sites like Groupon and stuff like that if you're looking for a romantic or even a platonic love, if you're having Galentine's Day, as we've heard it called, right? Maybe me and Clover have a Galentine's Day. I don't know.
Did you see
It's also
the
Ash
movie?
Wednesday.
Did you see the movie Valentine's Day?
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Because there's a great little plot. It's one of those, all these stars and all these little relationships interacting with things. I was getting ready to say Keanu Reeves, but wrong leading man. Ashton Kutcher is in it.
Oh yeah, Ashton
and
Kutcher.
Jennifer Garner plays his love interest. They're best friends, but she's going after Dr. Stringy McDreamy or whatever his name is. Steamy McDreamy. That's not his name on the movie, but anyway, you know who I'm talking about. Patrick Dempsey.
Yes.
But Ashton Kutcher is actually in love with her. And it's just so cute. But there is another actress whose name escapes me at the moment, but she hates Valentine's Day and she's all against Valentine's Day. And so she has this party where they're going to do I Hate Love and I Hate Valentine's. So it's not a Galentine's, but it's everybody who hates Valentine's Day. Let's all get together and have a party together. But then she ends up finding somebody at the party. As like would have it, as love would have it.
Good play on words.
All right. So let's, so we're going to share. I'm sorry, I cut you off and now I don't remember where we were.
I was just mentioning all the different varieties of places you can find the information about how to celebrate. But this one in particular came from proflowers.com.
Yeah.
I guess they want you to send flowers too, but
they do. There's an ad every other paragraph.
Every few inches there's an ad, but there's a ton of them in here. It's like 120 something.
I especially love this article. Yeah.
Yeah, but they go through several different, they have it broken down into sections. So if there's something in particular you're looking for, you can find a section for it. So they actually did do literal ways to say I love you differently in a few different ways. So there's little groups of them.
Yeah.
And the first one is just how to say I love you. And it's romantic ways to say I love you. So if you have a significant other, you could say something like, I love you to the moon and back again. Or something like that.
That one's overused. I think that one's overused.
It is a little overused. Or you complete me. A lot of these are pretty they're the movie ones, there's all these movie ones, or I'm yours.
I think the best way is when your significant other comes home and you greet them at the door with, I wanted it to be you. So badly.
So badly, yeah. You could try to emulate all the different rom-coms.
Oh, that would be so cool. Like that episode of Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I knew it. Oh, they
Well,
also,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say they also have romantic activities and stuff too.
Yeah. So the romantic activities that they suggest are things like setting up a spa day at home. I'm not sure how that would go.
AJ to give you a foot massage.
Scenting flowers. I got flowers for no reason at all 2 weeks ago. So I suspect I won't get any for Valentine's.
I know. And we take our flowers.
So here's the thing. Guys have this weird idea about flowers. And I remember when AJ and I were going through a rocky patch in our marriage many years ago. And we were talking through all of these difficulties and challenges. And I'm like, you never send me flowers. And he said, flowers die and they're so expensive. Do you know how much it costs to go buy a dozen roses? It's like $80. And I said, clearly you have never looked in the flower aisle at Walmart.
Yeah.
And so guys just like overthink it. Just go to freaking Walmart and buy a $7 bouquet and bring it home. She'll love you for it. All right. I'm good. I got that off my chest.
A rant.
Also, one of the suggestions is that cuddle up by a fireplace. That's good. Give them a personalized gift, write them a love letter, make them a candlelight dinner, all cutesy little ways. I've done some of these before.
The last one on that list is listen to their favorite song, but I would like to suggest watch their favorite movie with them, because that was one of the things that I could never get Ken to watch the movies I liked. So get somebody, if you got somebody who will watch your favorite movie with you, even if they don't like it, that's a good one.
Oh, I got to tell you something now. So one of the TV shows that we both like, TV show, not movie, is Jeopardy. AJ and I love to watch Jeopardy when it comes on, and we count how many questions each of us gets right. So we have like a little battle going. But I got to tell you, yesterday, Double Jeopardy comes on, and what do you think or actually it was the first round, Single Jeopardy, I guess they call it Jeopardy. But one of the categories was Hallmark movies.
Uh-oh.
And AJ's like, well, I might as well quit now. And I answered 4 out of the 5 questions. There was one I got stumped on, and I couldn't get it out fast enough. I knew the name of the movie, but I was like, three men and a little lady, or 3 men and a baby. It was 3 wise men and a baby. And I didn't get it out quick enough. But the funny thing was I had just watched a little clip of that movie the day before, but I just didn't remember the name of it. But anyway, yeah. So I will say AJ does watch some movies with me that he knows that I know he doesn't like. But on the opposite side, as you know, I have watched a lot of crime and law TV for my husband, and he appreciates that, I hope. It's not, I don't think it's as painful as what he feels watching a Hallmark movie. So, but
Gotcha.
I'm going to listen to this podcast and tell me why I'm wrong. I just know it.
And my youngest loves a good rom-com, so
oh, he's
good husband material for somebody.
Yes, indeed.
If he ever wants to get married, he doesn't have to. It's a free
live
world.
with you forever. That's what I tell Livia. You can just live with me forever.
Oh,
and she's like, I'm moving out. Don't count on me staying here.
And you're like, okay, good.
I keep saying, but who's going to take care of me and Aunt Priscilla in our old age if your dad's not around? And Clover gets volunteered. Yes, get volunteered.
Thank you, Clover.
I volunteer as tribute.
That's how you feel now, but when we're in diapers, I'm not sure you're going to feel that way.
I'll get you a clothespin for your nose. Then you'll need these funny ways to say I love you.
Oh, funny ways. This is good.
Humor.
Funny ways. Okay, let's hear it first.
What did the volcano say to the mountain? I lava you.
Oh my gosh.
I think they stole that from from Disney.
Yeah, that's a Disney short.
My personal favorite is "I've fallen for you and I can't get up."
Oh,
I
let's
almost
see.
said it the wrong way.
I'm crazy for you, or maybe I'm just crazy.
I know a few people. Oh, here's a good one. I'd like you to be the guest star on my love boat. Oh my God, this sounds like something AJ would say.
There are some food ones too, like you are just like bacon, you make everything better, and we go together like biscuits and gravy.
Now, see, you'd be talking about food, then I would be hungry. You'd have to take me to dinner or breakfast or something. Oh, look, I can really relate to number 10 on that list. Let's grow old and wrinkly together. I feel like we're already there.
Yeah.
Number 8.
Clover likes number 8. I plan on bugging you for a long, long time. Joey was watching a YouTube video, and they were talking about wedding fails, I think, or something, or red flags or whatever. And they showed this groom, and his vow, that his one vow he wrote was he vowed to smack that, you know what, forever. That was the best he could come up with. And even the preacher was like, really? And he's like, that's all I got. I didn't write anything down.
Oh my goodness.
Divorce.
Yeah, big red flag.
Right?
Flag.
Did we get to the I do's yet? Because if not, you're out of here, buddy.
Well, then she says her vows, and her vows were actually kind of romantic, but she threw in there, I'm going to frustrate you for the rest of your life. So I was like, maybe they're made for each other.
Okay. I may be old school, but I think some of these wedding things, the actual wedding ceremony, you don't mess with that. That's sacred.
No. Yeah. And the whole dancing down the aisle, that's okay. I feel like that's okay at the end, but before you even get in there.
Yeah, I agree. I saw one the other day that you remember the dance that they did on The Office when somebody was getting married. Was it Pam?
Jim and Pam. That was an actual replica of a YouTube video.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they were copying the YouTube.
They had on TikTok a couple, all of their bridal party was were big Office fans. And so they decided to replicate the dance from The Office, and they put on the TikTok, they had the 2 videos, one on top of the other, and they were doing it together. And I was a little distraught by it. I'm like, oh, that ruins a wedding when you do that foolishness. I mean, I think it's cute and everything, but not during the ceremony. And then I realized that was the reception.
Oh, good.
They did it as the bridal party entered the reception. So then I was like, oh, I love it, but I just didn't like the idea of them doing it in the church.
Yeah.
And
I feel like
not just the building, the church, but the wedding itself is sacred, right?
Yeah. And I feel like it needs to be more serious for the, I mean, it doesn't have, there can be a little bit of giggles and stuff, but I feel like save the real partying for after. And that's why I feel like the reception is a really important part of the whole thing. It's a package, you have the solemn part and you have the crazy part. And there are some people who get real crazy, but
That's why, it's why people, well, we talked about Mardi Gras last week, but a lot of people drink before their wedding because they're nervous, and drinking is like, by the time the wedding is over, if you didn't screw up the wedding, you're definitely going to cause problems during the reception. When I was a kid, I remember Mom and Dad taking us all to a wedding. I don't remember whose wedding it was, but the groom went to kneel, I guess, for a blessing or something. And the bride and the groom kneeled. And when he did, his shoes, the bottom of his shoes said, "Help me."
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see it until Scott or Eric pointed it out to me. And Mom was very upset. She said, I would strangle your dad if he did that to me on my wedding day. And I don't know if it was the groom's idea or a joke that somebody played on him, but Anyway.
Yeah, they think that stuff is cute, but it is not cute. If you ever see that guy who's on, I think he's on TikTok and Instagram, but he's the red flag guy.
Yeah.
He does a lot of he comments on a lot of wedding videos where they're smashing cake in the bride's face and stuff like that. And it's just like, how long is this going to last, you know? And we actually, Ken did a wedding. My husband did a wedding when he was a pastor in Florida, where the bride told him ahead of time she was very self-conscious about, you know, her look on the wedding day. And she's like, I don't want you to mess me up. And she told him way ahead of time, don't you dare put cake. And he smashed the cake all up in her face. And Ken turned to him and he's like, well, this isn't going to last long. And I think they lasted maybe a year.
That's terrible.
And
I did the same thing.
coming.
We had a very small wedding, as you remember, but I remember telling AJ, do not smash any cake in my face. I will have to murder you. I mean, it won't be divorce. It'll be widowhood because you will not be around. I will kill you. And it wasn't that I was self-conscious. I just felt it was stupid, you know, and I didn't want that for my day.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're not expecting it. If you discuss it ahead of time and you're both cool with having cake smashed in your face, that's one thing. But if it's not discussed and you get cake smashed up in your face while you're trying to get your pictures done, and you got to think about most brides, not everybody, but a lot of brides will, you know, spend a lot of money to get their makeup done or spend at least a lot of time doing their makeup before their wedding. And then you don't have time at the reception to clean yourself up and put makeup back on. You'll be missing your whole reception.
Exactly.
So it's not nice. And plus it's not pleasant to have cake up your nose. Why would you want that? So no smashing cake for Valentine's Day. We went off course like we usually do.
Well, there are some funny activities you can do to say I love you, but they don't include smashing cake.
That's good.
They do include attending a comedy show together.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
See a funny
Except when
show.
you sit too close to the stage and the comedians pick on you the whole night.
Oh, yeah. That would be
For
bad.
some reason, my husband is like a magnet for that kind of stuff. He gets picked out of the audience to go up on stage and put a tutu on and dance, or he gets picked out of the audience to be the one person that the comedian decides to mess with the whole night. But he loves it, so.
You could do funny dances for each other. I guess we do other kinds of dances for each other, but this is
we
the
do
fun
that
one.
all the time. Scott dances for mom.
Yeah.
Clover, do you dance for your mom?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
You dance for all of us. You're a good dancer.
We'll all do that. We all dance.
See, the thing is, your dances are not funny though, because you dance better than all the rest of us.
I don't think you've seen how I dance.
Not all of the moves.
True. I've seen your
more professional.
We don't talk about Bruno. I've seen that one. I have it on video. I could post it.
No, thank you.
I'm just kidding. I would never do that. And just saving it to embarrass you at some point later in the future when you're 42 years old and I'm like really, really old and shockingly still around because I plan to live to 140.
There's you can make faces at them.
Oh, we do that. Yeah.
Playing games.
Buy them a fish and name it together.
Bubbles. There's responsibility involved in that, though.
What would you name a fish if you got it? I would definitely name my fish Ted Lasso, especially if it was a goldfish.
Yeah.
Not a goldfish, as you have mistaken.
Yeah.
Fish. Yeah. You can tickle them. No, you cannot. If tickling is off limits, people, that's invasive.
There's some on here that, yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know. Well, one of them is just kind of, it says make them laugh. And it's like, well, wasn't that the point of this list? Aren't you supposed to tell us how? But it didn't.
Play a game of rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, playing games is
Seriously?
fun.
Yeah,
Anything
playing
that
games
makes
is
you
fun.
laugh is
Unless you
fun.
get really mad at, because we've played games with other people before, not just couples, but like friends of ours. And sometimes everybody gets so mad at each other. One
Don't
couple
play
that we,
Monopoly.
oh my gosh, Monopoly, sometimes Scrabble even gets it. But we played what's Taboo with some
Oh,
friends of ours, and the wife was trying to get the husband to say something, and she said, I sent you to the store for it last week. And there's taboo, you can't say certain words. And he's like, I'm clueless. And she said, seriously, it was the only thing you went to. And she was getting so mad at him, and AJ and I were cracking up. So I think they got divorced about a week later. No, I'm kidding.
no. Yeah, I guess be careful what games you play.
For real. For real.
You can, one thing that's fun that I don't know if I've seen it on here yet, and it could be funny or it could be romantic. And Ken and I did it for a little while, where we had this little notepad that was in our bathroom. Okay, this is really getting personal, but it was, we left it in the bathroom, and anytime we used the bathroom, not every time, but sometimes one of us would make up a silly little poem or limerick for the other. And we'd go back and forth writing these silly little poems to each other.
Oh, that's
You know,
sweet.
they were
That's
often
sweet.
very funny.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. AJ has this thing where he changes the lyrics to songs, and he'll often put our names in the song. And Livia's like, stop using my name in songs, please, Dad, please, and so he's forbidden from using our name in songs, but he still does it.
That's always fun.
I gotta tell you, when PJ was in the hospital, AJ and I used to play words with friends to stay connected, because I had to stay in the area of my work and our home, because I was working full time and also taking care of Livia. But AJ was 2 hours away in Baton Rouge, and he would play words with friends with me, but we would deliberately pick words that we thought would make the other one laugh, or, it was kind of
Be
fun.
sassy.
Yeah. Probably somewhere out there in cyberspace is me and AJ's Scrabble board, or words with friends board, with all kinds of provocative things on it.
Ew.
Moving on, there are lots of cute ways to say I love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, one I like is they're supposed to be cute. There's some here that just look romantic and not cute, but one of the ones that looks cute to me is, since you've been around, I smile a lot more than I used to.
Aww, that is cute.
Mm-hmm. That's
there's no one I'd rather steal blankets from.
Ha ha ha. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that one's funny. That's not cutesy. That's funny. I just called to hear your voice is kind of sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
Yeah, most of these are kind of more romantic and sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever we do today, I'm glad to do it with you.
Aww.
Aww.
You make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, there's your test. There's your litmus test, is say what you're going to do out loud. And if it makes you go, aw, then you know it's a good idea.
There you
if
go.
It makes you go, then maybe don't. Things that make you go, We got some good, cute activities. It says the first one is make your kids lunches. I do that every day, but you can you could make it more special. Like if you make your kids sandwiches, you could cut it in a heart shape or whatever.
Put a note in their lunchbox.
Yeah. If you live in Louisiana or parts of Louisiana anyway, your kids are off school on Valentine's this year, so you can't really send something in their lunchbox, but you could do it at home.
You could serve your kids breakfast in bed, or your spouse, or whoever.
Or your sister.
Oh,
I'll just show up at your house. I don't know. Your alarm will start going off.
hey, here's a hint. Wait till we move to a 1-story. That way you don't have to climb the stairs.
That is a good idea. Yes, I don't like stairs. They make me nervous.
Oh, you can throw them a surprise party.
Aw.
I think that's so cool. I gave AJ a hard time for not giving me a 60th birthday party, but we surprised you last year for 50.
Yeah.
It wasn't a party, but it was fun.
Yeah, sure was. It was very, I still think about it. I still think about it.
That's awesome.
And it's, I don't know if you could call it romantic, but romantic has different meanings. So it was very sentimental, I guess is the word. So you could film a video of yourself telling them how much they mean to you. See, that sounds more romantic than cute.
Oh, yeah.
But you could do something cute in the video. You could be cute.
You could sing.
Sing a song. Or you could fill a jar with hundreds of reasons why you love them. Oh, you know what would be even better? Okay, I'm just improving on this article left and right. What if you had a jar with 365 different love messages and they were supposed to take one out every day?
They make things like that where they're shaped like little pills, and like you can type messages and then send it to a person, and they'll roll up the little papers and put it in a pill and I'll send it to you, and then you can
like a capsule, like you pop open oh, I love that. That's so cute. You could also, AJ was showing me something that he read somewhere, and this was actually for Christmas. It was a DIY Christmas thing, and it said if you have family or friends out of town, send them a card, like a physical card, wishing them a Merry Christmas, but put a QR code on it. And when they scan the QR code, it takes them to a video that you've made especially for them. And some of the ideas were that you would take family photos and put them in this video, or interview different people. Obviously, to create a video for every single, AJ asked me, he said, if you did it, say, for 30 people, how much time would it take? And I said, doing a different video for each person. And he said, well, I was thinking like do a video, but then add like a personal message at the beginning for each person. And I said, well, you'd still have to launch 30 different videos if it was 30 people. But I really was intrigued by the idea. So don't be surprised if I do something like that next Christmas. Ooh. We did that for a friend of ours, Kevin, our friend from church. You know, Kevin and Yvonne. Kevin, he had his 60th birthday a couple of years ago. And we did a video where we wished him a happy birthday and we sang, and AJ played guitar and everything. And then I mailed him the card, and it had a QR code in the card for him to scan the QR code to go to the video. So I was impressed with myself.
That's cool. There's also, you could also get if you've ever heard of Cameo. So a website where you can go, and there are celebrities who have contracted with the company Cameo to do little videos, and you pay. They have different rates, and some of them are really expensive, but some of them are lesser. And there's no like rhyme or reason, and it's whatever that person has or their agent has set their rate at. Because some of the people who I would pay a lot of money for, you know, if I was doing it, are actually pretty reasonable. So it just depends on, you know, how they feel about doing it and how much spare time they've got. Because if they're really busy, they're probably going to put a lot bigger a price tag on it. Yeah, but they're all different people, from TV shows, wrestlers, you know, comedians, people who are famous for just being famous. There's all kind of people on there, and I've used it two times. I got a football player to do a cameo for my husband's birthday one time, a Saints football player, and one time for my son Nico, I got a comedian that was a YouTuber or a Vine guy or whatever, that he liked to do one for his graduation, I think it was.
I think so. I remember that.
Yes. Smith. But there, and then from, I don't remember if it was my birthday or Mother's Day one year, Renee and Nico combined funds to get me one of the Weasley twins.
Oh, that was so cool.
I have to confess, I don't remember which one it was, and I don't know if I can ever get to that video again. I thought I had it saved somewhere, but I've been through multiple computers, so I think I might have lost it. But it was really cool.
There's smash ups too, and smash ups are less personalized, but they're like, I think the way they do it is they record a birthday video from someone and then they insert the name, but it seems like the video is directed at you. Mom, I did one for Mom one year, and I want to say it was like William Shatner or somebody singing happy birthday to Mom.
I remember that. I forgot about those.
Yeah. So Smash Up's a good one. Donny Osmond's on Smash Up. I keep seeing advertisements for it, but yeah, those are cute. I like that idea. And then there are ways to say I love you using acts of service.
Yep. So you could do some chores for them. I actually saw a video on Instagram yesterday. This girl was talking about, she got invited to the best baby shower ever for an introvert, because she's very introverted and she only knew the mother to be. She didn't know any of the other guests. And what it was, and I forgot what it was called. There was a name for it, but it was, it was a nesting shower. They called it a nesting shower. And everybody showed up, and whoever was hosting it had provided cleaning supplies in each of the rooms. And they had people go and do different rooms of the house and do, full, deep cleaning of each room.
This is at the mother to be's house.
Yes, at the mother to be's house. And so if you were introverted like this girl was, she headed for the one bathroom and she spotlessly cleaned the whole bathroom, the grout and everything.
Wow.
Deep cleaned it. And that's all she had time for, because she had somewhere else to be. And it worked. She spotlessly cleaned this bathroom, and and it was a nice thing for this new mom, and or about to be new mom. And so similarly, you could do a chore or chores for the person that you love, that you want to do something for Valentine's Day. So, or maybe their car, you could clean their car. Or if they hate grocery shopping, you could go do their grocery shopping.
I love those ideas. Yeah, run an errand for them, make them a cup of coffee. That's good for people who like coffee. But
yeah. Clover does that for me all the time. Fixing me coffee.
AJ does that for me too, I have to say.
No. Because they love us.
Oh, yes. And then you can say, I love you with physical touch.
Well, that could get really crazy.
We got to keep it PG though. It says one of the items on the list is hug them for 30 seconds. My kids used to not let me hug them because they knew I was praying for them. Livia's gotten past it, and she's a tree. She just stands there and I hug her. It's one of these things where I'm hugging her and her arms are by her side.
Yeah, I have
kind of like when I hug Nico.
Yeah, they're two peas in a pod though.
Oh yeah.
My other ones are definite huggers. I get lots of good hugs.
I love the hugs I get from them.
Yeah, I loan you some children to hug.
One of the ones on here is invent a secret handshake. Have you ever done that with anybody? Fun. I think that would be fun.
Yeah. And there's cuddling, of course. Cuddling is always, it's like hugging, but it's more long term. It's a bigger investment.
Well, for sure. Investment. For sure.
And then there's ways using gifts. So gifts are always fun. You could spoil them with something real expensive, or just buy them a drink, or buy drinks for their friends. That's kind of romantic because you're being friendly with your loved one's friends too. It's a nice gesture, I think.
I think so too. I'm not really into the expensive gifts, but that's one of the suggestions. I like the idea of creating a collage of special photographs because, you know, most of the time now we take all these pictures and people post them on social media and save them on their phone, but they don't ever get printed out, right? And when we first moved into our house, I went through Facebook and printed a lot of photographs. Of course, you know, I had lost all my paper photographs in the hurricane. So I needed some printed photographs and I went and printed a bunch of them off of Facebook and framed them. I still do that. We had some friends came over one time and they were like, "Where did you get that picture of us?" And I said, "It was on Facebook." So I printed it. Random photo of us with some friends, but it was a cute picture of all of us together and I liked it.
Yeah. You've done that a lot for family for Christmas too.
That's true. The calendars. Yeah. It's hard though. So like I had done that for like, I don't know, 10 years in a row. Well, since Katrina, I think from like 2006 on, I've done the calendars for our family on mom's side, but it's been not every single year. For many years, I actually printed all the pages on my own printer and bound it. But you can get them printed so cheaply now. And the more you buy, the better. So if you order like 25 calendars with a photo on every page and it's the full size, you could get like 25 for, I want to say it's under $200. So it's really kind of reasonable. When I was doing it myself, I was spending a fortune on ink and binding and all of that. But the problem I ran into was not being able to find photographs of everyone. And the gift doesn't mean as much if you got to keep harassing people to give you pictures, right? So I kind of gotten away from it for the last couple of years, but I like that idea though, photos.
Or you could get something framed, something nice. That's fun. Or buy something for their pet. That's really cute.
You always did that. You were always very thoughtful at Christmas time buying for Molly.
Oh, Carl Papa got his share of presents from you too.
Yeah.
I always get gifts for all the pets for Christmas, and they even have their own stockings, but this year they wouldn't fit. None of the stuff I bought fit in the stockings. Because Grandma likes to spoil, you know. Spoil my grand furries.
Oh, yeah.
Slithery.
Well, they're all slithery.
Yeah.
Well, you can offer some quality time too to say I love you and go for a walk with somebody. Walked last night.
A dance class sounds fun, and I tried to get him to do that a few times. In fact, we paid for a tango class or a salsa class or something at an auction, and we never used it.
Oh, bummer. Bummer.
Yeah, but
I tried to convince AJ to do that too, and he said, "Oh, we can just watch videos on YouTube." But you know, when you have a class that you pay for and it's structured, and you know it's going to be every Tuesday, it's a purposeful thing where you go. But if you say, "I'm going to do it on it," you never get around to it.
Right. Yeah, you got to be mindful of such things. And sharing your goals with them. I feel like that's the type of thing that's romantic that you should do ongoing and not just for Valentine's Day.
Well, in between mother and children too. I love it when Livia and I have a conversation about the future and even just the present. Like when she gets in the car and says, "Did I ever tell you how much I hate painting?" She hates her oil painting class. She likes the teacher, but she hates the class. All because digital art has an undo button and oil painting doesn't.
Yeah.
I like the go to a workout class that they love.
Oh, yeah.
I used to go to Zumba class when you were teaching occasionally.
But you love me.
Surprise you and let you know I love you.
Yeah, that was very sweet. I thought of that when I saw that one. Yeah.
Aw.
And there's try a new restaurant or bar together. I think that's always fun.
Yeah, that
'Cause then
is.
it's new for you both. So it's more of a shared experience than just going someplace you always go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's why, like, when you're watching, I know you guys do it. Y'all are watching Ted Lasso right now. You don't want to like watch ahead without the other people that you're watching it with, because then you can't share the experience. And I think that's kind
Right.
of what you're saying is shared experiences. Going
Yeah.
to
Or,
Disney
when you
World, or whatever.
yeah, right. Going somewhere like the theme park. We were just talking about that this morning. Nico was texting me about there was a place we went when he was little and he couldn't remember the name. And I couldn't remember the name at first either, but thank you, Google. I found it. It was Tweetsy Railroad in North Carolina. And so that was exciting shared experience. But there's, and I with my kids especially, I love when I tell them about a movie and I want them to watch it and they actually agree to watch it and then we watch it together. There's something about watching a movie with somebody you care about and seeing them enjoy the movie. It's a bad scene when they don't, but there's been a few that I've watched with some of my kids where they'll glance at me every once in a while, like, you're enjoying this, but
You really like this movie?
yeah, that happens time to time. But we're all such like creatures that most of the time we all enjoy them. And even, when I have some of them who all of them at one point or another, I'll be saying we need to watch this, and they'll reluctantly agree, and then they like it, and I'm like, ah,
I love it. I love it. Well, there are a lot of ways that you can say I love you, and you just have to find the ones that work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's some in this list that y'all can see that are creative things to do. I mean, you can do a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Use your creativity, I feel like if you if we just found a funny one, but if you watch the person you love and you know what they love and you do something that has to do with that, I think you can get really creative. You got to think outside the box too. But there's a lot of good ones in these lists, that you can peruse at your leisure, but it's a really long list. But
Oh
Clover
my
just
goodness,
pointed
it
one
goes on
out.
forever. Yeah.
Yeah, Clover just pointed one out that says, give them a heart attack. And it says that is attack them with paper hearts, cover their door with paper hearts, or send them a box full of paper hearts. The more over the top you make it, the more. You ever seen those videos where they post-it note somebody's cubicle at work and the
We've done
entire
it.
thing?
I've done
Oh
it.
yeah, I think I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I was in a lesser guilty party in the whole thing, but I went along with it. But we did that. There was a engineer in our group when I was at the one company who hated post-it notes and felt like they were from the devil. And she was on maternity leave for 3 months. And every day the guys went in her cubicle and put more post-it notes so that by the time she came back, her entire cubicle was covered in post-it notes.
Oh my goodness. I've seen ones too where they'll wrap saran wrap around the cubicle and then dump from the top. Because it's a cubicle and not an office, and they'll dump packing peanuts and fill the whole thing with packing peanuts. That's kind of funny. Or cars filled with what are the ball pit balls? Especially if it's a convertible, not a convertible, has a sunroof. It's easy because you can just close everything up and open the sunroof and just fill it with ball pit balls. But I don't think that's more of a prank than a I love you.
Unless each one has.
Well, I went on a I
Oh,
went
yeah.
on a business trip one time, and I was with a coworker who's also a very good friend of mine. And Terry and I came back from the business trip, and I had parked my car at the airport in short-term parking because it was just a couple of days and it was easier than having to catch the shuttle and all. But we get to my car And I didn't even know he knew where I parked, but AJ had found my car while we were gone and he filled it with purple balloons that were
Oh,
blown up, of course.
Tina's
And
favorite color is purple, y'all.
yeah, and he had put a mixtape in. This was back in the day when you were still listening to cassette tapes, and he had put a mixtape in with all these love songs on it. And there was a
Aw.
note on the dashboard for me. It was so funny. It was a little embarrassing because I had Terry with me and I'm giving her a ride back to the office to get her car. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And we had to pop the balloons in order to be able to get in the car. And I didn't want to leave all the debris on the ground at the airport because I'm a rule follower. So we're standing there popping balloons and throwing the popped balloons in the back of the car. I wanted to strangle him. And the worst part was I had to go to the bathroom and dang it. But it was kind of funny. It was cute. It was sweet.
We had a gal who worked at our church when we lived in Florida, and she was an intern, so she was temporary. She was doing an internship, and when she left, well, backtrack before when she got there, they said, "Oh, you need business cards," and they sent off for the business cards from that company that prints Vista that prints the Vista
print, yeah.
And they're so inexpensive. They got her a box of like 1,000 business cards. Well, she was a DCE intern. She only worked with, education, and she only saw people from church and they all knew where to find her. She didn't really deal with anybody out in the world, that often. So she only gave out a handful of business cards the whole year that she was there. And at the end of the year, when Ken was not in the office, she and I think some of the youth or college kids went into his office and hid business cards of hers everywhere, all over his office. And I don't remember if it was just him or if it was, I don't remember if that was the year he was the only pastor. I don't remember if she did it to everybody or just him, but those business cards were everywhere. And like he turned his ceiling fan on and they had stacked them on the blades of the ceiling fan. And they had, and
I love that.
Years went by and he'd crack open a book and her business cards would fall out. And so wouldn't it be funny if you went and bought blank ones and printed love messages and hid them all in your loved ones' things?
That's awesome. I love that.
That's so funny.
I love that. So I'll share one more little I love you story. AJ's birthday is in December. And I always kind of felt like he got ripped off with having a December birthday because usually we didn't have any money. We were buying Christmas presents for everybody. And so I never did anything special for him, although I have thrown several surprise birthday parties for him. I think one when he was 40, one when he was 50, and maybe more. I don't remember. But I did. One year, I felt like he had really gotten ripped off for his birthday. We didn't do anything and we barely acknowledged it. And also, AJ has a history of bad things happening on his birthday. Like one time he got food poisoning. One time, mom was babysitting one of the kids, and I stopped there to pick up the kid that she was babysitting. I think it must have been PJ. And I sat my purse on top of the car and ran inside to get PJ. Or I was dropping Jonathan off. That's what it was. And I ran inside to say hi, but I had put my purse on top of the car when I was getting something out of my purse. And my purse got stolen off the top of my car on AJ's birthday. And so I always felt like he got ripped off. So there was one year when I decided I was going to have, and I did it 2 years actually. I had a surprise random AJ's day. And so I know one year it was on April 15th because it was tax day. And so he had been the financial manager at our church at the time. So I printed all these signs that said Happy AJ's Day. And I bought probably $300 or $400 worth of gifts for him that I wrapped and hid in various places. But every one of them, like I clothed him from head to foot. I gave him a shirt, a tie, pants, shoes, socks. I clothed him from head to foot, but he was finding these pieces of clothing everywhere. But every gift had a clue that led up to it. And then the gift took him to the next clue. And sometimes he would have to drive like to church to get the next clue. And so, like, when he woke up in the morning, I had already gotten up and I deliberately started an argument with him the night before, hoping he would just go to bed and I could get everything ready in the house. Now it wouldn't work because we both get up all night long to go to the bathroom. But back then he didn't. But in the morning, I left a bouquet of balloons in our bathtub so that when he went to go take a shower, he would see the balloons. And they had a note to him with a poem about drying clothes. And he went and looked in the dryer and he found this huge glass jar filled with the hot tamale candies. That was his favorite candies.
Aww.
And then that had a poem on it that told him his next gift would, or he would, it was just a clue that he would find his next gift when he got to church. And I had put signs everywhere at church, even over the men's urinal, that said happy AJ. I'm not kidding you. Happy AJ's Day. And I had hidden gifts there. Like I put one in his desk drawer, and then that had a clue that led him somewhere else, like to the copy machine or whatever. And he lifts the copy machine and there is happy AJ's Day. It was just a mess, but I did that. And all day long, he kept getting these clues. And then when we got home, I had taken a half a day off of work to surprise him at home. And I had wine and cheese waiting. And he's not a big wine drinker, but we had fun with it. And then I took him out to dinner and I had a babysitter all arranged. And the babysitter handed him an envelope, which was his final gift. And it was tickets to go see Jerry Seinfeld, because he was a huge Jerry Seinfeld fan at the time. So it was fun. It was fun. So it's an idea, just a little way to really make it special. Create a whole day of surprises for your loved one. All right. Clover, do you have any sweet and sour sauce that you would like to share with us today?
Yes, I do. Would we like to start with the sweet or the sour? The sweet is pretty similar to what we've been talking about, but the sour is similar, but in a bad way.
Go with the bad first,
Yeah.
I think, huh, Priscilla?
Right. Bad news first is always better.
So
Then you can soften it up after.
the sour. Let me get my notes.
They're prepared, y'all. They got notes.
Consumerism. So you walk into a store and you see Valentine's Day everywhere. Teddy bears with the little hearts, and you squeeze it and it says I love you, and the boxes of chocolates and different gift bags and baskets and thousands of different knickknacks and toys and things that you could probably make on your own for a lot less money. These things, how long do they stay in your house? Like sometimes a week, sometimes a year if you're lucky. But, you know, a lot of the time they get thrown away or, you know, gifted to somebody else who also doesn't want it. And it's a constant cycle of buy and toss and buy and toss. And eventually those things are going to end up in a landfill or the ocean or somewhere bad for the earth. So, and I know what you're saying, you know, like, even if we stop buying it, they're still going to end up there because they're still making it. But the less we buy those things, the less they're going to be produced. And eventually
supply and demand.
Exactly. They won't be produced as much. So you should, you know, not do that. Let's go. Exactly. So let's go to the sweet, where you can make things or personalize things and give things that would also give back to the earth, like flowers or, you know, recyclable cards. You know, they make, or you can make scrapbooks or things with food, make them food, bring them places, things that don't have to go into a landfill or the
consumable things.
Consumable things, food and chocolate. Chocolate, you know, they have those packaging things, and sometimes those aren't great, but if it's recyclable, it's recyclable.
You know what?
Take
You
it.
can give me any
Yeah.
chocolate anytime, and it does not have to be in a pretty hard shaped box.
Exactly.
A lot of those chocolates too. And I had this conversation with the kids last night. I bought a bag of those Dove message hearts, and you open them and they have little messages inside. And I said, I bought these for y'all for Valentine's Day. You can bring some to school and share with your friends, and we can eat some, whatever. And it was just one of those things. I was looking for extra stuff to put on my grocery cart because I was ordering some delivery stuff. And if you order below an amount, you get charged extra money because it's below the amount. So you might as well. And I thought, oh, I didn't think of getting anything for Valentine's Day. And they don't really do Valentine's cards with their friends that much anymore. They're growing out of that. Plus, they're not going to be in school next week because of Mardi Gras. So I said, well, you could bring it this week, and on the last day of school for the week, and because they're off today. Today's a Friday, and they were in school yesterday, so they gave a few out to their friends, and we were eating them. And I said, these really are good chocolates. They taste good. I said, there's so many chocolates out there you can buy for Valentine's Day that you can't enjoy. They don't taste good.
Yeah.
Because it's that cheap chocolate. It just tastes like wax with a hint of chocolate,
They're mass produced.
Yeah. They're garbage chocolate. So don't buy, if you're going to buy chocolate for your loved one, buy them chocolate that tastes good.
Oh, yeah.
It might cost a little bit more, but it's worth it.
Like the Merci chocolates or.
And the
what are
chocolates,
the other ones?
Sorry. The chocolates.
No, go ahead. What did you say?
The chocolates we were eating were extra good as well because all of the little wrappers have messages inside.
Yeah, so it's fun.
And so you can, not only is it like a love message, but you can save those. Like you don't have to throw them away because you have a reason to keep them. Yeah. Some of them were really funny and I'm keeping them.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. I like that. And well, that's some good sweet and sour sauce. Thank you, Clover.
Oh, did you have something else to add?
They make plantable cards.
Oh, yeah.
Like
they do. They have seeds in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are fun.
Yeah, they're shaped like little hearts and they have like flower seeds or like fruit, maybe. I don't know.
Like embedded in the paper. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. And they come in little metal containers. So they're whatever. I don't know.
I guess more recyclable.
Yeah.
More easily recycled.
And you can plant them in the ground and it'll grow a nice little.
You can grow some plant.
Eco-friendly. Eco-friendly gifts. I love that.
And I think the cards are actually made from recycled paper too. So that's always a cool thing.
Most things are recyclable. If you think about it, there's always another way to
reduce or reuse.
Yeah, there's always something.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
You can always take a container and turn it into a container for something else. Or people take egg cartons and use it as laptop holders so they don't get overheated. Or people break down egg cartons to make paper and the paper to make a scrapbook. Like there's so many different ways you can reuse these packaging items and things from the Valentine's gift that you're getting and make more gifts.
I feel like we have a very strong Earth Day topic.
Really?
When that comes.
I care about the earth.
Yes, me too.
That's good.
Yeah. Tammy, you got some marinade today?
I do. It's kind of an interesting one. I always tease my husband because he will share something, an opinion, or actually he'll share something that he knows is a fact. And sometimes I'll say, are you sure that you're correct about that? And he'll say, oh yeah, 100%, 100%. And as we talk about it more and more, he says, well, I'm almost sure. And so I tease AJ all the time and I say, you speak with such authority, you need to make sure that you're saying something that's true because people will believe you because you do speak with authority on certain topics. And most of the time he's correct, but there have been occasions where I've pushed back and said, hey, I don't think that's exactly true, or it's true in Louisiana, but not in other states or whatever. And so I always encourage him to go research before he says something. And so my marinade today, what I would like everyone to marinate on is, what do you speak about that you speak with authority that maybe you aren't in authority? And so you have to be careful about advice that you give to people. I see people sharing medical advice all the time on Facebook. And I'm thinking, okay, I've known you for 15 years, and I don't think you have any medical background whatsoever. Now, granted, we always joke about me getting all the medical questions right on Jeopardy because I've been exposed to a lot of different things with myself and our family and mom and dad and all. But you have to be careful. You can, if you say something that you're just saying from experience and not necessarily well-researched knowledge or education, you have to make sure you put that disclaimer in there. As far as I know, this is my experience, but please do check it out. You have to make that disclaimer and be careful not to speak with such authority, because people have done things based on advice from other people that wasn't correct, and it's a slippery slope. So that's just it's real simple marinade today. Don't speak with authority on topics where you are not in authority, you have no education or experience with. Sometimes experience is good, but actually having the written education or certification to validate that is the better thing.
I think you and I had said something to this effect on a previous episode. In fact, I'm positive we did, but I can't remember which one it was don't get all your advice from TikTok, right? Or Instagram.
For sure. Yeah, probably because on our social media.
There's so many people who think they know things, and they'll tell you, and you can see actual people who are trained medical people who talk about certain things, and people will argue with them and say, well, no, you're wrong because this other TikToker said, or no, you're wrong. And sometimes they're people who have no idea. I can't tell you how many times there's a lady I follow who is a board certified GYN, and she specializes in menopause, and men like to tell her she's wrong.
Oh my gosh.
And like men who aren't even doctors. And it's like, okay, there are several problems here.
Yeah.
But don't take everybody's or anybody's word for it. Just even if they say they're trained, it doesn't necessarily mean they are. Check them out, check your sources. And I have to confess that I gave a lot of advice, and my YouTube is still out there with videos on it where I gave advice that I have considered erasing, but there was so much in my videos that was good advice, but there was some advice I gave that might not have been so good. But I dread the thought of having to pick through all of the hours of video on my YouTube. But when I thought I was giving good advice, and it was based on things that professionals were saying, but the professionals don't always get it right when it comes to fitness and diet. So, that stuff changes. Everybody knows that changes from one day to the next, what they say, eat or don't eat and whatnot. And I have certain people I follow, now who I trust, but then I also see the things they say and that they say are good things to do that aren't working for everyone. And so much needs to be customized. You can't take every piece of advice because it's not a flat prescription for any person. And so when I was doing Beachbody and trying to do coaching with Beachbody, I had to give a whole different list of facts and suggestions for people for weight loss and fitness than I did previously. And so some of the advice I used to give was correct and some wasn't. Then the new advice I was giving, some correct and some wasn't, depending on who you were. And looking back now, I'm just like cringe, and I'm like, I gave out way more advice than I should have. And you don't even know who to direct people to sometimes for the best advice. So
Well, I'll tell you something I
any
told
advice
Livia
anymore.
yesterday.
Don't
When
care.
you can't go back and fix what you did, and all you can
Mhm.
say is at that moment, I believed what I was saying was true.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I don't fault you for that. But the reason I started thinking about this topic, and I probably should have mentioned that, was AJ is real into the law and personal rights and justice, and he listens to a lot of videos on TikTok. And you know how it is. If you listen to one all the way through, then you're suddenly swarmed. And he gets all this stuff in his feed that's about these police auditors. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's where a person will go into a building and start videotaping because it's a public building and they have a right to do that, knowing though that they're going to be stopped by security in the building who tells them they're not allowed to videotape. And then they can say, look, you need to be educated. You are allowed to videotape in this building. It's a public building. And so I am correct that I can videotape. But they'll do other things too, like they'll be stopped by a police officer, and the police officer will ask to see their ID, and they'll say, well, what crime have I committed? Because I can only be asked to identify if I've committed a crime or am suspected of committing a crime. And so, for example, if the police officer pulls them over because they think they're talking on the phone holding it up, but then they pull them over and realize that the phone is on a clip or something like that, then they realize the reason they stopped them was no longer valid, but they still want to get their ID. And the auditor argues, you can't ask for my ID. But here's what I was particularly impressed by, not in a good way, is that the police officers, some of them, not all of them, will argue about laws and they don't really know them. And so that's the other side of it, is if you are representing and you are an authority, you should be educated on whatever it is you're representing. And there has been the other side of it where I've said the auditor who is dealing with the police officer is not putting their best efforts forward either, because instead of just saying, hey, look, I've researched it and this is the law. I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but they're so ugly and they're so offensive in the way they handle it. So it's kind of twofold there. It's getting away from my main message, but I just wanted to share that because that was what made me start thinking about it, is if you're an authority, you need to make sure you're educated on what it is you're an authority on. But if you're speaking with authority and you're not in authority, that's a bad thing too.
Yeah.
Yep. So guess what next week is?
What is next week? I knew what it was, but I forgot.
Letters from listeners.
Oh, right. Letters from listeners. Maybe they forgot too, because y'all got to send us some letters.
We need letters.
Or messages.
A few, but not a lot. So we need letters.
We have messages turned off on Facebook.
But I put the email address. I put the email address on there.
Yes, our email address is in our podcast and on our YouTube, right? So y'all could email us, and like we said, we're not authorities on everything, but we can try and research and educate ourselves for you. So you don't
have to make a disclaimer at the beginning of that show. Hey, we're not an authority on this.
Yeah. And also, if you guys do any of these fun things for Valentine's Day and you want to share with us, we'd love to hear.
Sure thing. Yeah.
If you do something cool, or if somebody does something cool for you, we
want
to hear about it.
I hope we all get lots of great Valentine's Day surprises.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And Clover's off school again next Friday, so y'all might get a little sweet and sour answers to your questions.
Yes, we'll have to get Clover to weigh in on the answers.
Play something you might not like.
Uh-oh. I can't believe Clover would ever say anything I didn't like.
Clover sass. We need to get a Clover sass shirt for this one.
Yes, indeed.
An honorary sassy
Sensei
sauce
sister.
Sassy sensei sauce sister.
Something like that.
Another S.
Oh, the other category on Jeopardy that I scored well in was alliteration times 3.
Oh,
Because you know how much I love alliteration.
me too. And I love rhyming.
Y'all could get merch that says I'm a little saucer.
A little saucer.
Oh,
You're a little saucer.
or I'm a little saucy.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great episode. We look forward to getting lots of emails with lots of questions. Thank you to Clover for joining us today. And we're looking forward to having you back next week, Clover. But until then, make yourself a priority.
And take care of you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to keep up on all the latest sauce. See you next time.